Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya has been on the calendar for over 30 years now, and it has served up some classics. Michael Schumacher's first win for Ferrari in 1996 in the rain. We have much better weather here today for the Spanish Grand Prix. We go back to the future at the Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya as the chicane has been chucked in the bin in the final sector. It shortens lap times and reduces the total track length to 2.9 miles and 14 turns. This was the original version of the circuit, but it hasn't been used since 2007. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hadjar, Jackson, Fernando Alonso and Sainz, Ocon, Behrman, Stroll and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Hülkenberg, Mayer, Alex Albon and Maloney, Bortoleto, Pepe Marti, Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly, Doohan, Colapinto, Lawson and Paul Aron completes the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Well, you're very welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, an authority on all things motor racing. It's a warm welcome to Naomi Schiff. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out. So as all the cars reform the grid, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring their planned strategies are all in place.
All right, here we are in Spain. Pretty overcast as George Russell pulls up to the first slot on the grid. As we pull up the track layout for Spain, wait for the rest of the cars to pull up to their grid spots. 5 red lights are on. George Russell, Lando Norris in the front row. And we are off. A pretty good start for Hadjar in the second row, moving ahead of Lando Norris. You see Jackson in the back trying to make a move on Alonso. They're sitting in P4, coming around the first turn. 2 sets of 2x2 of Alonso, Jackson, Sainz, Ocon, I believe. Unless I was Norris and Jackson, I could be wrong. Coming through the end of Sector 1 to Turn 4. Going through the rest of the grid. Gasly back in P17, losing position to Maloney. And then coming down the hill in Sector 2, turns 6, 7, and 8. Coming back up the hill before the detection zone for Sector 2 to Sector 3. A very slim margin to try to make an overtake here in Sector 2, but it is possible. So we go through the grid yet again. Hadjar P2 in the Gulf Williams, as Russell still leading by 6/10, just over 6/10 or so. Norris sitting P3 ahead of Jackson. Alonso sitting P5. He had a podium in Miami, so hoping he can finish on the podium with that good start from today. Antonelli sitting back in P10 as we see who can make an overtake here. We see Jackson defending against Alonso. Alonso's going to have the outside of turn 1. Sainz is going to try to get as close as he can to Alonso. A little bit of bumping here going on between Ocon, Antonelli, and Behrman, I think it was. as Albon is sitting P11, Mayer P13, the two Ferraris sitting P14, 15, and then from qualifying, Hulkenberg and Pepe Marty both made it into Q2 for Audi, so they've made some progress behind the scenes. If you guys haven't already noticed, we are a little bit under the weather, a little bit congested from the holiday, getting a cold from the family. Russell sitting 4 tenths ahead, and Hadjar trying to close the gap here in Sector 2 as we go through turn 10, a very wide turn 10. Probably my least favorite part of the track is the start of Sector 3, as Hadjar is going to be looking to make an overtake on George Russell to the start of lap 3. On board with Lando Norris, see if he can make an overtake on Hadjar. He's not quite far enough. On board with Hadjar, making an easy move on the inside. Russell not going to be able to make any move back into turn 1 against Hadjar, so he's going to have to hold on to that position for now. Coming through turns 3 and, well, turn 2 and 3. Wait a handful more of the position changes as we're on board with Callie Mayer, trying to make a move on Hulkenberg through turn 4. Not quite there. Let's go through the rest of the grid. Ford Racing Bulls not doing great so far this season, let alone in Spain. They've been decent for where they're at, but they still have a lot of room to improve. Russell already over 1 second behind Hadjar, so he's not going to be able to get DRS coming into the end of Sector 3 for lap 4. The detection zone is coming down the hill into turn 14. So he's not going to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to defend against Lando Norris. So he's well over 1 second. Lando Norris is leading Alonso. So maybe a possible 3 wide situation. As you can see, the power that Norris is putting down, we move to the outside, try to hold off on that position when we do fend off Lando Norris for lap 4. As we move on to the end of the lap, we're within a second of Hadjar. Not enough to get DRS. Norris is still going to be close, though. Norris making the overtake that he could have had last lap, but not until now. Norris P2, Russell P3. Then Jackson is also closing in on Alonso for P4. So it's a 4-way battle between Russell, Norris, Alonso, and Jackson. Stroll is about 2.3 seconds back. So we're on board with Lando Norris, looking to see what kind of opportunity he can make against George Russell. Coming through Sector 2. Moving on to the end of lap 5, Norris will have his opportunity. He does have Alonso and Jackson pretty close behind, so he has to look behind him to see if anything might happen. Easy move on the outside, yet again for Lando Norris. Russell still holding on to that. A little bit of contact, I think that was. So Norris drops back, Alonso's right in the gearbox, and Jackson is following as well. So very interesting race. That main straight getting a lot of action here with the speed trap and the start-finish line. Antonelli still holding on to that top 10 spot. Albon made his way into 9th a few laps ago. And Hulkenberg still sitting behind Callie Mayer. So we've yet to see any pit stops. Going through the grid. Paul Aaron 2.3 seconds back behind Lawson in last place. And 2.8 seconds is the gap already between Russell and Hadjar. So not only Konnersport, but the Gulf Williams is gaining a lot of progress as well. We're going to see if we have any pit stops on this lap, because I know Russell is running soft tires, and he's not going to be the only one running soft tires. It's just a matter of how many soft tire runners are going to be coming in for their 2 stops, as we get a track limits warning there through the end of Sector 3 at lap 14. Looking through the grid to see if we have any more pit stops, or have any pit stops yet. Not looking like it. We see Dewey, Lawson, and Paul Aaron. As Mayer and Antonelli swap positions, Leclerc, Hulkenberg swap positions from that main straight. Moving on to lap 7, on board with S1 Ocon, back in P16. He's within a second of Gasly, looking to try to make a move. He has Colapinto right behind him. looking to make an advancement on position. As he's coming up the hill, he's going to be putting too much power down on those soft tires. Is going to be causing a yellow flag, almost beaching himself. You could see him bouncing over the curb there, or balancing off of that curb. Ocon, P22 in the Haas with no virtual safety car. Russell, 3.2 seconds behind Hadjar on lap 8 now. You see that 3-car battle between Alonso, Norris, and Jackson shortly behind. Carlos Sainz is about 1.2 seconds back behind them, so he has an opportunity to make up some ground. But we're going to be coming in on lap 9. George Russell. No, actually, no, not George Russell. It's going to be, let's look through here. It's going to be Isaac Hadjar in the lead. We saw Russell sitting behind him. We didn't see him on the track ahead of him. It's going to be George Russell leading the race, coming in for a new set of tires. What color tires it's going to be on, I'm not sure. I believe it's a set of mediums from Soft Tires. That's going to be the first pit stop. It's going to be a guaranteed 2-stop for Hadjar and the Williams. As we go through the rest of the grid, nobody else coming in for a pit stop yet. As we may see a handful of drivers going for a 1-stop today. So Russell losing position on Alonso down that main straight when we were paying attention to Hadjar. Now Russell's going to be coming in now on lap 10. Jackson staying out to lead against Lando Norris. We gave him that momentum to try and close in on Fernando Alonso, but he's going to be coming in on the pits. So Jackson currently leading Lando Norris as we are battling Alonso in the pits off of these soft tires onto a new set of mediums. We see Hadjar gaining some positions from pit stops. Russell back down to P14 already with his first stop. You can see Hadjar and Gasly side by side, followed by Alonso Colapinto as Russell comes out in P15 on board with Hulkenberg. No issues with Hulkenberg there. Jack Doohan also in the pits. You can see Ocon there in the background for his pit stop after that spin. So he may be coming in earlier than he wanted to. Jackson leading 1.2 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz sitting up in P3 with Stroll close behind. Well, not really close behind, 2 seconds back. And then the gap is also forming between Stroll, Albon, and Behrman. About half a second increasing between each of them. About 2 to 3 seconds for their times. You can see there on the times table. Jackson, I believe, coming into the pits. No, not quite yet. We'll see who is coming in. Albon in the Williams coming in now as we finish lap 11. 1.5 seconds in gaining. Jackson is gaining on Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris as they were fighting for position. Mayer up into P5. Behrman is in the pit, I believe, as well. I could be wrong. No, Behrman's still out. It's still going to be Albon. Bortoletto losing position to Hadjar. We see Pepe Marti and Maloney coming in. Russell moving up to P13 ahead of Colapinto. Let's see what kind of pit stops we have here. A little bit of an issue there on the right rear tire for Maloney. We didn't gain a position there against Pepe Marti. Ocon still holding off in last place. Jackson's 1.6 seconds ahead. Still have yet to come in, so he might be coming in on a 1-stop. So we go through the rest of our top 10. Bortoletto's currently sitting top 10. Neither Ferrari is pit yet. Russell sitting P13 as he's trying to close in on Fernando Alonso. The end of lap 12. We're going to be able to make an opportunity on Fernando Alonso. He is currently fighting Pierre Gasly. We push them to the inside. We take the outside lane as George Russell. It's going to be a double overtake. Alonso overtakes Gasly, and Russell makes his way through for P11. Jackson still leading Carlos Sainz, almost 3 seconds between them. Russell's now caught up to Bortoletto by the end of lap 13. So we see him coming through on the inside. Alonso's trying to take advantage of that opening. He's going to be pushing through and passing Bortoletto as well. So Bortoletto now dropping 2 positions. Lap 14 now Russell still on the offense now against Antonelli. Antonelli seemed slow. He might be on a one-stop strategy, so he's probably going to be coming in pretty soon. He's going to be holding up Alonso, so the battle between Russell and Alonso is pretty much in Russell's favor. Jackson's still sitting about 2.5 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz. Looks like Callie Mayer is going to be dropping through, and she's going to be coming into the pits, as you guys can hear, for her pit stop. So it looks like Callie Mayer is going to be coming in for a one-stop, from a soft to a hard, so that might be pretty risky for their part. She's going to be coming out P15, ahead of Lawson. Paul Aaron and Hulkenberg battling, as Pepe Marty's about 10.5 seconds back. And the rest of the grid is pretty much falling back here in the Overcast, Spain. So we see Doohan leading Maloney and Ocon from Haas. They scored their first points last race in Monaco. Esteban Ocon currently sitting in P22 as we go back on board with George Russell, trying to chase down Charles Leclerc. End of lap 15, he's going to have his opportunity for P7. Jackson still leading about 2.6 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz, doing the same move that Russell did on Alonso, moving them to the inside and staying on the outside there. Now Alonso has to work on passing Leclerc. Hadjar is going to be chased down by Russell, and we're going to be going to our F1 commentators as we see Jackson coming in for his pit stop.
There's been plenty of excitement this weekend and still no rain despite today's overcast skies. Each Grand Prix this season has crowned a different race winner, and with Konnersport's recent advancements propelling their car into podium contention, we could be on the verge of another thrilling Konnersport victory today.
That's right, Konnersport has received the majority of their much-needed upgrades over the course of the last two Grand Prix, and other teams have also waited for this stage of the season to invest development time into their cars. Notably, both Audi cars advanced from Q1 into Q2, showing they are at least one team making progress up the grid in the background, as we also have Aston Martin and McLaren making up some ground in that development portion of this season. I'd also like to note Carlos Sainz, currently leading the way with almost a 9-second gap on Isaac Hadjar, is looking to be improving on their season as we see the first of the possible one-stop strategies.
It's an impressive achievement on paper, managing to complete a race on a one-stop strategy given how tyre changes have played out this season. We've seen so much unfold already, yet there's still plenty left to discuss. Down in the pits, Laura Winter is joined by Ted Kravitz.
Thanks, Crofty. Surprisingly, Spain is almost certain to be a one-stop race based on the tyre strategies some teams have chosen for today. There isn't much difference from this season's tyre compound changes in the data from last season, so teams have chosen to see how that one-stop wildcard may play into their favour.
And speaking of one-stop strategies, Carlos Sainz is coming in for his stop with the medium to hard compound, looking like a strong and reliable choice to carry him to the end of the race, while smartly keeping that set of soft tyres in reserve for emergencies like a late safety car or red flag.
Laura, do you think we will be seeing a possible one-stop strategy for another race this season?
There is a possibility that it could happen again, but with how the track is made here in Spain, it will be up to the teams to decide whether or not they want to take that risk again this season. As we know, track conditions has a big factor in that case, such as the overcast weather we've seen this weekend.
Thank you for that input, Laura. We had Ted Kravitz sneak away to the McLaren pit box while we stayed with you. Ted, how's it going over there at McLaren?
That's actually perfect timing. I was just asking Zach Brown about the team stops for both of their drivers, and they seem to be in high hopes for today's race.
Would you be able to elaborate on that, Zach? We did see both drivers' recent stops seem to go with no issues.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Carlos is set to go to the end of the race on his new set of hards, and Gasly's earlier stop went smoothly as well. Now it's just a matter of holding steady until Gasly's final stop, and then it's full throttle to the finish.
Carlos is running pretty good out there. Do you think he could get on the podium by the end of today's race?
We have confidence that he can finish pretty high up in the points. Podium would be even better, not only for the team, but for Carlos as well, since it is his and Alonso's home race. But the team will be happy with a points finish from both drivers.
Speaking of home races, Alonso last on the podium in Miami earlier this season, and before that hasn't gotten on the podium since Brazil 2023. His last win was way back in 2013 here in Spain, so a podium finish would be great for him and the team.
I want to move down the pit lane to Ferrari as we thank Zach Brown for his time. Fred, how's the team doing? We've seen some interesting racing from them the last few races.
The team is doing good. We are hitting our marks where we've set them for the season, and we are hard at work behind the scenes to get parts on the car for upcoming races.
Ferrari is currently sitting in 5th in the constructor standings, sitting very close between Mercedes, Red Bull, and Aston Martin. Who would you say would be your closest rivals for the championship as of right now?
Looking at it on paper, we're closely against Red Bull, but with our driver skill against other teams, it is very close between several teams, so there's no clear rivalry at this time.
We did see Leclerc on the podium in Imola, and we know how much that means to the fans at a home race. Do you think we will see some more Ferrari podiums and even race wins throughout the remainder of the season?
The team has confidence in our drivers that we can stay within the points and get back onto the podium before the end of the season.
Thank you for that quick visit, Fred. As we make our way down to the Haas pit box, Ayao, we haven't talked yet this season. How's the team doing after the points finish in Monaco?
The team spirits are up and we are hopeful to try and get back into the points today, but there's still a lot of race to go.
There's been a lot of talk lately about the team come next season. Any input on the rebranding with Haas's updated partnership with Toyota?
Yes, Toyota will pretty much be taking over primary sponsorship of the team, where Haas's sponsorship will be secondary. The team has been prepared as well as curious to how the upcoming changes will affect the team for this next season.
Any plan on driver lineup for next season, or is it too early for a concrete answer?
The team and most likely other teams will be waiting until after the summer break to be making any moves on driver contracts. There's a lot to take into consideration at this moment, and we want to be sure we choose the right fit for our team next season.
Thanks, Ayao, for finally giving us the chance to talk to you during a race weekend on the broadcast. We're excited to see the team push for more points, which are especially valuable at this stage of the season, as they'll keep you in the fight for the Constructors' Championship.
Speaking of fight, we just watched Alonso with his last stop of the race, an issue getting the front right on before release, and it looks like he's going to end up coming out behind his teammate.
And that's pretty much shaping up to be a podium battle for Alonso among other drivers, with only a select few at the front on a two-stop strategy. So with that, there's still plenty of action to come.
All right, here we are. Hajar Albon, the 2 Williams, currently sitting on provisional pole, or a provisional podium right now. Russell now in the lead from those set of single stop strategies. Hajar 3.2 seconds behind. Albon sitting another 7.6 behind. So we're going to see if they can still finish double points for today's race. These medium tires really felt pretty good today in this race as we're going on board Jackson on lap 22. Carlos Sainz is now in P3 as we saw Albon coming into the pits earlier between transitions. Jackson's going to be making a move on the outside of Carlos Sainz. They're going to be side by side, both on the hard tires. I believe they're going to be pushing those hard tires to the end of this race, which means there's about 11 laps to go. That means Russell is on board to a possible podium, being 15 seconds ahead. He just needs to push ahead as these two drivers are fighting it out through Sector 2. And Jackson coming out on top, coming through Sector 2, laps 5, and turn 5, turn 6, lap 24 now. Russell about 15 seconds ahead. Carlos Sainz coming into a pit, and there are the cars of Doohan, Maloney, and Paul Aaron, who had just been lapped. Now they're unlapping themselves. And it's pretty much the first time we've seen cars getting lapped throughout the series. I don't remember quite last season. Carlos Sainz is going to be leading Jackson. Russell in the pit having an issue with that right rear tire. He's not going to be the only one I believe we had Alonso earlier, or one of the Hasses. The Russell is going to be coming out ahead of Isaac Hadjar. Behrman P9, Albon P10. So both Williams sitting inside the top 10. Both Aston Martin sitting high up in the top 10. George Russell is going to be looking to make some moves later on in this race on these soft tires. Lap 26, he's trying to close in on Callie Mayer, but we have Lance Stroll and Isaac Hadjar close behind. We have Callie Mayer on the hard tires, so we're going to have an advantage there. That's going to be a spin from Isaac Hadjar, putting too much pressure down in Sector 2, coming into lap, or turn number 5, and that's going to be an actual red flag for unsafe parking on the track. And we did have some recording issues, so we're going to be jumping right back into this race, so we don't have that part of the recording. So right back into this race, 5 red lights are on. Carlos Sainz along the front row with Alonso, Jackson P3, and we are off. We see the Mercedes of Callie Mayer off to a decent start against George Russell, passing Lando Norris. He's down to P5. Hadjar passing Lance Stroll for P7, coming into turn 1, taking as much curb as possible. A little bit of contact between Russell and Norris. Hadjar and Stroll swapping position. A lot of people swapping position there through turn 1 and 2. Now the front pack being Sainz, Alonso, Jackson, Mayer, Russell. As we can see the battle going on between Alonso and Sainz side by side. Moving up to Jackson to see if we can get a better look at this fight. As you guys notice, it's lap 28 of 23, so that would be pretty much pushing a 6-lap sprint to the end of this race. Everybody's going to be on soft tires. So the one-stop strategy that some drivers were taking just threw it out the window. See Alonso trying to push away from Carlos Sainz. He's about 4.5 tenths ahead of Carlos Sainz. No DRS till this next lap. Just have to stay in the toe of the car in front of you and you are good. Let's see. Stroll is almost about 6 tenths behind Norris, so he's starting to fall back. Let's see who else is falling back. Not really sure. Just these times are pretty much relevant to each other. Russell about a half second back. Gasly starting to fall back. He's past a half second behind Albon there in P12. So we see Ocon and Hulkenberg swapping positions. Moving on to lap 29, the end of lap 29. Jackson is going to be well within 1 second of Carlos Sainz. Russell might be within a second of Callie Mayer. Jackson going to be making a move for P2. And that's going to be Russell outside of the 1 second for Callie Mayer. He's not going to have that advantage for DRS. Jackson sitting up at the P2, 1.5 seconds between him and Alonso. Currently right now, 2 home race drivers on the podium. Hadjar is having an issue, so he loses ground on Lance Stroll. End of lap 30, Carlos Sainz is going to have an opportunity to go after Jackson. Callie Mayer sitting P4, Russell sitting P5 within that small DRS train. Sainz going on the inside of turn 1. No contact with Jackson, backs off. Jackson dropping back to P3. Callie Mayer is going to try to capitalize on that and gain some ground. Russell's back in P5. He has to make a move now to try to help his teammate out. So we're now on board with George Russell on the final lap. Positions haven't changed. George Russell is battling Callie Mayer for P4. Makes a risky dive bomb on the inside of turn 10. Braking late and making that move on Callie Mayer. To see the McLaren there of Carlos Sainz. But that's not him. Up front, not George Russell, Fernando Alonso to win at home in Spain since, I forget the year, 2012, 2013. Carlos Sainz, P2, and Jackson, P3.
Fernando Alonso takes the checkered flag.
And the celebrations go on in Parc Fermé. You can see just how much this means to them. The team are absolutely mobbing their driver because you know that this keeps them in the title fight, and we now see what it means to them as a whole.
So much to talk about. We will continue to do so, but first it is time for the podium. A return to victory for Fernando Alonso, back on the top spot. Been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
All right, there we have it. A very interesting and fun Spanish Grand Prix. Not only did Fernando Alonso get on top of the podium for yet another race win, Carlos Sainz coming in second on the podium for a 1-2 for Spain. Both drivers being from Spain and getting on that podium must be very special for them, being home races, and very special for the crowd. Aiden Jackson, George Russell, also P3, P4. A very interesting fight there at the end with the red flag and the very risky move on Calamere from George Russell there at the end. But it was pretty fun. Now that we're calmed down from that, during this recording, I've had some recording issues actually. But we're going to go ahead and look at our standings. Fernando Alonso leading the driver's standings by 3 points against Aiden Jackson. I believe Lando Norris was winning at that point by 2 points, maybe 1 point against Hajar, but I could be wrong. We'll have to look back and see what it was. But Aiden Jackson in second, Fernando Alonso in the lead for Drivers' Championship. He's only won 2 championships so far, so if we get it a third time here in this save, that would be very nice. Aston Martin and Honda sitting in P3 for Constructors. Konnersport sitting in the lead against Gulf Williams at 18 points. That lead has been extended out from 2 points to 18. Gulf Williams didn't do so great in this race. Esteban Ocon started in... no, that's the standing. Let's see. Where do we need it? Okay, let's see here. Top 10. I believe Esteban Ocon, yeah, he started 7th, finished 16th. A lot of people on 3 stops with that red flag. And the 1 stop could have been possible without that red flag. But yeah, very interesting race. Very hopeful for some drivers. Kylie Mayer, she should have gotten driver of the day, but it went to Fernando Alonso because he won the race. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this race here in Spain. No punctures like we did last season. And we'll see you guys in the next one.